Significant weather patterns developing across Australia over the next 48 hours. We're re-looking at a clear north-south temperature divide, scattered storms across the eastern states, and some of the best summer weather you'll find sitting over Perth. Worth paying attention to if you've got plans this weekend or early next week. I've been examining the latest data from the Bureau of Meteorology, cross-checking the Access model against the European model and the GFS. There is good agreement on the broad pattern, though some differences in the timing and intensity of storm activity across Queensland and New South Wales. More on that shortly. Right now, conditions across the country show the extremes of Australian summer. Darwin S sitting at 31 to 33 degrees with humidity above 80%. The build-up S well underway up in the top end. Brisbane hit 28 to 29 degrees this arvo with that subtropical stickiness. Not as hot as further north, but uncomfortable all the same with the moisture in the air. Sydney S running cooler than you might expect for late January. 24 to 26 degrees during the day. That S actually below the long-term average. There is a reason for that, and it ties into the weather pattern we are tracking. More cloud cover than usual, sea breezes keeping things in check, and a fairly active period of shower activity. Melbourne S been tracking warmer, 27 to 30 degrees forecast, potentially nudging that 30-degree mark, about 0.2 degrees above the historical average for mid to late January. That is a noticeable difference when you re-out in it, particularly given the humidity has been moderate as well. Compare that to Hobart. 18 to 21 degrees during the day, 12 to 14 overnight. The coolest of all the capitals, as you'd expect being that far south. But it's not uncomfortable. Actually quite pleasant for outdoor activities if you are down that way. Perth's enjoying brilliant conditions. 30 to 32 degrees with low humidity, 11 to 12 hours of sunshine. Mediterranean climate doing what it does best in summer. Dry, sunny, barely a cloud in the sky. If you are after classic Australian summer beach weather, Western Australia S the place to be right now. The pattern driving all this comes down to a high pressure system sitting over the Bight and a series of troughs moving across the eastern states. That high S been blocking weather systems from moving through the south, keeping Perth dry and stable, but it's also creating a pressure gradient that S funneling moisture up from the Tasman Sea into New South Wales and Queensland. The Access model shows this moisture feed continuing through the weekend and into early next week. The European model S in agreement on that, though S a touch more aggressive with rainfall totals. The GFS is somewhere in between. When you see that kind of consensus, you can have reasonable confidence in the broad outcome, even if the exact details might shift. Let me break this down by region because the differences are significant. Starting up north, Darwin and the Top End are in classic wet season mode. 28 rainy days on average for January, total rainfall around 340 millimetres. That's the highest of any Australian capital. These aren't gentle showers. We're re-talking tropical thunderstorms. Heavy, intense, they blow in during the afternoon and evening, dump a load of rain, then clear out. Lightning, strong wind gusts, the full package. If you in Darwin or anywhere across the Top End, you know the drill. 31 to 33 degrees during the day, 24 to 25 overnight. Humidity S brutal, above 80% most of the time. That combination makes it feel significantly hotter than the actual temperature. You are dealing with that sticky, oppressive heat where you are sweating, just standing still. The storms this weekend will be typical for the pattern. Afternoon heating builds the instability, moisture S available from the monsoon trough, and bang, you've got thunderstorms firing up. They can produce very heavy rainfall in short periods. Localised flooding S, always a risk during the wet season. Keep an eye on road conditions if you're travelling. Floodwater can rise quickly. Queensland from Brisbane north. This is where it gets interesting. You've been dealing with warm, humid conditions all week. That's not changing immediately, but the shower and storm activity is ramping up. Brisbane S sitting at 28 to 29 degrees during the day, 22 degrees overnight, humidity S moderate to high. The key thing to watch is the afternoon and evening storm potential. During January, Brisbane typically sees about 7 rainy days, but when it rains, it can be significant, up to 210 millimetres total for the month. That S not spread evenly. You can get 50, 60, 80 millimetres in one storm event. The pattern through the weekend has an upper level trough moving across southeast Queensland. That S providing the lift mechanism for storms. You've got the heat, you've got the moisture, now you've got the trigger. Saturday afternoon and evening, watch for storms developing across the ranges and moving towards the coast. They could be quite intense while they last. Not everyone will see them. That is the nature of summertime convective activity. One suburb might cop 50 millimetres while 5 kilometres away stays dry. But the potential S there for heavy rain, frequent lightning, strong wind gusts. If you've got outdoor plans Saturday arvo, have a backup ready. Sunday looks similar. The trough S still influencing the region. Morning might be relatively clear, but as we head into the afternoon, expect storms to fire up again. The Bureau S issued a severe weather watch for parts of southeast Queensland. Not a warning yet, but a watch. That means conditions are favourable. Keep monitoring updates. Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, you are in the same boat. Coastal areas might see storms moving in off the water Sunday evening. That can produce some spectacular lightning shows, but also dangerous conditions if you caught out. Further north, Cairns and Townsville are dealing with typical tropical weather. High temperatures, high humidity, daily storm chances. Nothing unusual for this time of year up there. You are used to it. Just the normal far north Queensland summer pattern. New South Wales is running wetter than average this January, and that continues through the weekend. Sydney S already seeing quite a bit of rain, and there's more on the way. The forecast has Sydney at 24 to 26 degrees during the day, 19 to 20 overnight. That air's comfortable, actually. The problem is the rain. There is a fairly high chance of scattered showers right through the weekend. January averages 94 millimetres across about 27 rainy days in Sydney. We're retracking above that this year. Winds are brisk, averaging around 25 kilometres per hour, stronger along the coast. That is creating blustery conditions, particularly Saturday afternoon. If you are heading to the beach, be aware of the wind. Sea temperatures are sitting at 21 to 22 degrees. Not bad if you are keen for a dip, but those breezy conditions will make it feel cooler when you get out. The rain isn't from major storm systems. It's more persistent light to moderate showers associated with onshore flow. That high pressure over the Bight is directing moisture straight into the coast. It's a subtle pattern, but effective at producing rainfall. Newcastle, Wollongong, the Central Coast, seeing similar conditions. 25 to 27 degrees, chance of showers and storms, particularly Saturday afternoon. Parramatta and the western suburbs might see slightly warmer temperatures, 26 to 28 degrees, but the shower risk is still there. Coffs Harbour and the North Coast are in that transition zone between Queensland S tropical pattern and Sydney S cooler showery conditions. You'll see both warm days, humid, but also shower and storm activity, particularly in the afternoons. If you're in rural New South Wales, particularly grazing country, this rain's not unwelcome. It's been a variable season. Some areas could use the moisture, but if you've got hay down or crops ready to harvest, it's a frustration. Keep an eye on the radar. You might get windows of dry weather to work with, Victoria and Melbourne. This is where the temperature's been running warm, and it stays that way through the weekend. Melbourne S forecast for 27 to 30 degrees Saturday, potentially hitting that 30-degree mark. That S notably warmer than Sydney, warmer than the long-term average. Come evening, temperatures drop sharply to around 15 degrees. That S a 15-degree swing from day to night. Significant. That temperature range tells you something about the air mass. It's relatively dry. Maritime air doesn't have those big swings. Continental air does. Melbourne S getting influence from inland, which is bringing the warmth but also the variability. There's a moderate chance of showers, particularly later Saturday and into Sunday. During January, Melbourne typically sees 16 rainy days with about 84 millimetres total. The showers this weekend, one to be major, but they possible. Classic Melbourne. Could be hot and sunny at lunchtime, then cool with showers by evening. You know what they say about the weather here. If you're done to like it, wait 15 minutes. Wind speeds are averaging 18 kilometres per hour. A bit gentler than Sydney, but still providing a pleasant breeze. That'll help with the warmth Saturday afternoon. Geelong, Ballarat, Bendigo, you are seeing similar patterns. Warm Saturday, cooler Sunday, chance of showers. Nothing extreme, just typical variable summer conditions. South Australia and Adelaide are sitting pretty. This is some of the better weather across the southern states right now. Adelaide S forecast for 26 to 27 degrees Saturday, 17 to 18 overnight. Moderate temperatures, not the extreme heat you can get in Adelaide during summer. The high pressure sitting over the Bight is keeping things stable. Rainfall S very limited. Only about 2 rainy days expected for the entire month of January. Total rainfall around 33 millimetres. This weekend's looking dry and sunny. If you've got outdoor plans, Adelaide S a good spot to be. The Adelaide Hills might see slightly cooler temperatures and a marginally higher shower chance, but even there, conditions are fairly settled. The wine regions are enjoying good weather. Perfect for cellar door visits if that's your thing. Western Australia and Perth. As mentioned earlier, this is textbook Mediterranean summer. Perth S forecast for 30 to 32 degrees Saturday with full sunshine, 11 to 12 hours of sun throughout the day. Evenings drop to 18 to 20 degrees. Comfortable sleeping weather. Low humidity means even though it's 30 plus during the day, it doesn't feel oppressive like it would in Brisbane or Darwin. The key feature for Perth is the lack of rain. January typically sees only 1 to 2 rainy days across the entire month. This weekend continues that pattern. Clear skies, sunny, dry. Beach weather, barbecue weather, whatever you're replanning, the weather is not going to stop you. The southwest, Margaret River, down towards Albany, you are in similar conditions. Dry, sunny, pleasant. The coast might see afternoon sea breezes that keep temperatures a touch cooler, but overall it's top quality summer weather. Tasmania and Hobart. The island state S enjoying mild, relatively dry conditions. Hobart S forecast for 18 to 21 degrees Saturday, 12 to 14 overnight. These are the coolest temperatures of any capital, but they're not unpleasant. It's actually quite nice for bushwalking, cycling, outdoor activities. You're not dealing with the heat stress you face on the mainland. January in Hobart typically sees 13 rainy days with about 23 millimetres total. That's quite low. This weekend S looking mostly dry with just a slight shower chance. The weather S stable, settled, good for getting outdoors. The west coast of Tasmania might see a bit more cloud and a higher chance of showers as weak fronts brush past, but even there, nothing significant. The Central Highlands could see some cool overnight temperatures. If you're re-heading to the high country, be prepared for conditions near freezing overnight. That S normal for alpine areas, even in summer. Now, the inland regions, this is where conditions get harsh and they stay harsh through the weekend. Alice Springs, Uluru, the central desert regions, you are looking at 35 to 40 degrees during the day, potentially higher in some locations. The desert climate means overnight temperatures drop sharply, possibly down to 20 to 25 degrees. Still warm, but a significant drop from the daytime peak. Conditions are dry, very dry. Rainfall S negligible. Solar radiation is extreme. If you're travelling through these areas, preparation is critical. Carry plenty of water, more than you think you will need. High SPF sunscreen, a hat, protective clothing. The sun in Central Australia this time of year is brutal. If you are doing any bushwalking or remote travel, tell someone your plans. Carry emergency supplies. The heat can be dangerous if you're not prepared. People underestimate it, particularly if they from cooler climates. Don't be that person. Let me talk about the broader pattern and what it means for the week ahead, because this setup doesn't change dramatically in the short term. That high pressure over the Bight remains in place through early next week. It is a blocking pattern. That means Perth and the west stay dry and sunny. Adelaide stays settled. But it also means the eastern states continue to see moisture feed from the Tasman. The trough activity over Queensland and New South Wales doesn't clear out immediately. We're re-looking at continued shower and storm chances through Monday and Tuesday. Not necessarily every day, not necessarily all areas, but the risk remains elevated. For Brisbane and southeast Queensland, monitor the severe weather watches. The Bureau will upgrade to warnings if conditions warrant. Pay attention to radar during the afternoons. You can see storms developing and track their movement. That gives you time to prepare or move indoors. outdoors. For Sydney and the New South Wales coast, keep the umbrella handy. The persistent onshore flow continues. Light to moderate showers, particularly mornings and evenings. It's not going to wash away, but it's enough to disrupt outdoor plans if you're not ready for it. Melbourne S variability continues. The temperature range stays wide. Warm days, cool nights, chance of showers. Classic Melbourne summer. Layer your clothing. Be ready for changes. Darwin and the Top End, the wet season rolls on. Afternoon storms remain a daily possibility. Flooding risk continues for low-lying areas and roads. This is just how it is during the wet. You know it, you deal with it, but don't underestimate it. Some practical considerations based on what we are seeing. If you in Queensland or northern New South Wales and you see storms developing Saturday or Sunday afternoon, take them seriously. Summertime storms can produce very heavy rain in short periods. If you're driving, be aware of the flash flooding risk. Never drive through floodwater. As the SES says, if it's flooded, forget it. That is not just a slogan. It is life-saving advice. For those in Sydney and the eastern seaboard dealing with persistent showers, think about your outdoor activities. Sport, barbecues, beach trips, have a wet weather backup. It might be fine, it might not. Better to have a plan than get caught out. If you're in Victoria and Melbourne, be ready for that temperature swing. 30 degrees at 3 p.m, 15 degrees at 9 p.m. That's a jacket in the car situation, particularly if you are heading out for the evening. Western Australia and Perth, you've got the best conditions. Make the most of them. But remember, the sun is intense. Even with low humidity, you can still get burnt. Slip, slop, slap. Slip on a shirt, slop on sunscreen, slap on a hat. That advice never gets old because it works. For the inland areas, I'll say it again, hydration is critical. The dry heat is deceptive. You might not feel like you sweating much because it evaporates so quickly, but you losing fluids. Drink water regularly. Don't wait until you thirsty. By then, you are already behind. Now, bushfire risk. This is something to keep in mind, particularly for those in southern Australia. The fire danger is extreme this weekend across most areas. The shower activity in the eastern states actually helps with that. But South Australia, parts of Victoria and Western Australia are dry, really dry. January is typically a low rainfall month for these regions, and we seeing that pattern. Check the fire danger rating for your area. Know what it means? Low to moderate, you can relax a bit. High, you need to be aware. Very high or above, you need to have your bushfire plan ready. If a total fire ban is declared, that means no fires whatsoever, not even in a designated barbecue area, no mowing on hot windy days, no machinery that could throw sparks. Take it seriously. These bans are put in place for a reason. For those in rural areas with livestock and property, you know your fire risk better than anyone. Keep your property maintained. Clear around buildings. Have your water supply ready. If you are in a high-risk area and conditions deteriorate, leaving early is always the safest option. Some of you remember Black Saturday. 7th of February 2009, 173 people died. Many of them thought they could stay and defend. The conditions that day were unprecedented. Temperatures over 40 degrees, low humidity, strong winds. Fires moved faster than anyone anticipated. This weekend, not Black Saturday, not even close. But the principle remains, never underestimate fire. If you are in doubt, get out. Property can be rebuilt. Lives can tea. The marine situation along the eastern seaboard deserves a mention. Those brisk winds I talked about for Sydney and New South Wales create choppy conditions offshore. If you're planning to head out on the water this weekend, check the marine forecast. Winds averaging 25 kilometres per hour, higher in gusts, create moderate to rough seas. Small craft should be cautious. Larger vessels can handle it, but it won't be a comfortable ride. Rock fishermen, be particularly careful. The combination of wind, swell and high tide creates dangerous conditions on exposed rocks. Every summer we see tragedies from people being washed off rocks. Wear a life jacket, fish with someone else. Tell people where you're going. Watch your footing. For swimmers, the surf beaches along the New South Wales coast will have decent waves Saturday and Sunday. Good for surfers if you are experienced, less good for casual swimmers. Swim between the flags. Respect the lifeguards. They know the conditions, they there to keep you safe. A quick word on health considerations with this weather pattern. The temperature variability across the eastern states has been significant over the past couple of weeks. 30 degrees one day, 20 the next, then back up again. That plays havoc with people's systems. Flu, colds, sinus issues, headaches. People have been crook. If you are dealing with that, you are not alone. The pattern settles down a bit after the weekend, which should help. But in the meantime, look after yourself. Stay hydrated, get decent sleep, eat properly. Basic things, but they matter. For elderly people and those with existing health conditions, the heat in central and northern Australia is a real concern. Check on your mates, your neighbours, your family. Make sure they're recoping. Heat stress can sneak up on people, particularly if they not used to it or if they're living alone. Darwin and the top end, you are dealing with high heat and high humidity. That's a dangerous combination. Drink water constantly. Stay in air conditioning during the hottest part of the day if you can. Limit physical activity. Perth and the west, even though your humidity is low, 32 degrees is still hot. Don't overdo it. If you are working outdoors, take regular breaks. Find shade. Drink water. Looking at the extended outlook, the pattern I've described continues through at least the middle of next week. That high over the bight is strong and slow moving. It is not getting pushed out quickly. That means Perth and Western Australia can expect more of the same. Dry, sunny, beautiful summer weather, no rain in sight. Adelaide and South Australia stay settled and relatively dry. Temperatures might climb a touch midweek, potentially nudging into the low 30s, but nothing extreme. Melbourne and Victoria see continued variability. The shower chances remain. Temperatures fluctuate. Wednesday might bring a cooler change that drops temperatures back into the low 20s. Still pleasant, just less warm than the weekend. Sydney and New South Wales, the onshore flow weakens slightly by midweek. That should reduce the shower activity. But we are not going to a completely dry pattern. You will still see some rain around, just not as persistent as the weekend. Brisbane and Queensland, the storm risk remains elevated through Tuesday. After that, we might see a slight easing as the upper level trough moves east. But the tropical moisture doesn't disappear. You're still in the warm, humid regime. Darwin and the top end. Wet season continues. This is your normal pattern from now through to April. Afternoon storms, heavy rain, high humidity. Just how it is. One thing worth watching beyond this immediate forecast period is the potential for a tropical low to develop in the Coral Sea late next week. The models are hinting at it, but there's still a lot of uncertainty. Too early to say if it'll develop into a cyclone or just remain a rain-producing low. If you in North Queensland, just keep an eye on it. The Bureau will be monitoring closely. If it does develop, they will issue the appropriate watches and warnings. Cyclone season runs from November through April and we rewrite in the peak period. For those planning travel over the next week, consider the conditions. If you flying, the storm activity over Queensland and New South Wales could cause delays Saturday and Sunday afternoons. Airlines might hold aircraft on the ground if there is lightning in the area. Build in some buffer time. If you driving long distances, particularly through inland areas, prepare for the heat. Carry water. Check your vehicle. Make sure your air conditioning works. Know where the fuel stops are. Some remote stretches have very limited services. For those heading to the beach or coastal areas, check the local surf life-saving reports. Conditions vary significantly from beach to beach. What is safe at one location might be dangerous 50 kilometres away. Wrapping this up, Saturday the 25th of January 2026 shapes up as a typical summer day across Australia. But as always with our wide brown land, that means very different things depending on where you are. The top end deals with heat and storms. Queensland and New South Wales see warm conditions with afternoon storm potential. Victoria runs warmer than average with changeable conditions. South Australia and Western Australia enjoy dry, sunny weather. Tasmania stays mild and mostly dry. The inland regions cope with extreme heat. The key points to remember: stay hydrated, particularly in the heat. Use sunscreen. The Australian sun doesn't muck about. Monitor weather updates, especially if you are in storm-affected areas. Have a plan for outdoor activities. Be fire aware in dry regions. Take care on the roads and in the water. For those of you with mates in remote areas, check in on them. For those with elderly neighbours, make sure they're coping with the heat. For those with livestock and property, you know what you need to do. Do it before conditions deteriorate, not after. This is a weather pattern worth paying attention to, but not panicking about. You've seen summer before. You've dealt with heat, storms and variability. This isn't unprecedented. It's just Australian summer doing what Australian summer does. Keep an eye on the Bureau of Meteorology for updates. They'll issue warnings if conditions change. The radar's your friend for tracking storm development. Use it. If you've got concerns, questions, or you're re-seeing conditions I haven't covered, drop a comment. I read them. They help me understand what you're dealing with on the ground. Stay safe out there. Look after yourselves and each other. That's the forecast for the weekend. More